Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my top books of 2023. Now, I've got a top 10, and I've got 5 honorary mentions. And I'm going to do it in reverse order because I want you all to guess what my top books are. Once you've seen my honorary mentions, have a little pause for a minute because I'm not going to make you guess completely. But see if you can guess any of my favourite books, and most importantly, if you can guess my favourite book. I would love to know if you can guess. Although, if I'm being honest, I think most of you will guess the actual favourite book, because I have talked about it a lot. Now, obviously, because I don't want this video to be stupidly long, and I've got a stack loads to do at the moment, I'm not going to talk about the books too much, but I will tell you why I liked them and what it was that made them in these lists. As always, Crazy Cat's going crazy. Thomas is back at school. Thomas is back at school today on the day of filming, but Mia's upstairs. And the cat's going crazy. So, welcome to life back now. No, they're back at school. Shh, sweet, you can go back on it. And she's going crazy. Anyway, enough of Crazy Cat. Let's show you the honorary mentions. The first of the honorary mentions is The Law and the Lady by Wilkie Collins. It's my only classic on the list, I will straight away tell you that. But it was a classic in Victober that I thoroughly loved and I've not been able to get it out of my head. I don't know if it was on any of my favourites for the month that month, but I think looking back, it was the one that really stood out to me, and it's one that's really done that. And I think going forward on this list, yes, they all should really have been on my favourites for the year, but sometimes they're books that have literally been ones that have stayed in my head longer than much past after I read them. I've taken a lot of books that were favourites in the first half. Actually, I will link my favourites for the first half down below. So there are some of those, but not all of them, because obviously otherwise this list would be ridiculously long. But The Law and Lady by Wilkie Collins, it's one of his sensation novels. It's a mystery, it's exciting, it's thrilling. Wilkie Collins does not disappoint. I am going to be buying another Wilkie Collins for this October. Whether I buy it second hand or whether I buy it full price, I don't care. I'm getting one ready. I just don't know when yet, but I love this one. So that's my honorary mention. That's the first of the honorary mention. The second is one that you will see this series a lot more in another video that's coming up about my series books. And this is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I read this, I think, in January 2023, and I'm going to be continuing the series. You obviously know that I'm reading the next book in the series in January this year. Probably, I don't know if it'll be before or after this video is filmed, but I will be reading that. And then I'm going to be reading the whole series this year. So I will talk about this series a lot more in another video, like I said, about the series. But this is like sci-fi. It's it's literally my favourite sci-fi ever. And the series apparently is all like mixed up. They're connected a little bit, but you don't have to read them in order. But this is literally when Rosemary Harper joins the crew of the Wayfarer. She isn't expecting much. It's a patched up ship, and you get loads of different aliens, and it's a brilliant, brilliant book. And I loved it in January, and it's one that, even though it didn't quite make the top 10, it's one that I cannot wait to carry on the series. So, yes, that's that one. I'm doing my piles because I've got to work out where I'm putting them back. The next of my honorary mentions is how it didn't get on my top 10 is because my top 10 is very close. And that's The Poison Heart by Kailyn Byron. I had to buy the sequel to it, This Wicked Fate, straight after buying it, even though I've not read This Wicked Fate. I bought the sequel full price, and I've not actually read it. That's mad, isn't it? Because I am looking forward to knowing, so it will probably be read in it'll probably be read in March the way I'm going now. But it will be read soon. But yeah, I love When Cinderella's Dead. Cinderella's Dead by Kailyn Byron, and I absolutely loved that one. And this one had it was just amazing. It was witchy, it was fantasy, it was just had everything in it I loved. To break an ancient curse, she must let her power bloom. Priscilla has a gift. She can grow an apple tree from a seed and a heartbeat. It is so, so good. Dark, fast-paced, thoroughly loved it. Cannot wait to carry on the series. Then to a book that's going to surprise you that it's on my, not on my favourites. This one's going to surprise you, and that is Only Love Can Hurt Like This by Paige Toon. It is a beautiful, beautiful book, but there are 2 other contemporaries on this list that really struck home with me even better than this. So even though Page Toon is still one of my favourite authors, and I really did like this, there were other books that beat it just about. And this one's about Ren, who realises her fiance is in love with someone else. She thinks her heart will never recover. On the other side of the world, Anders has lost his wife. And this was a really good book. And Page Toon is still a brilliant author. I just don't know if she's the favourite anymore, or whether another contemporary author's just about beating her. But this was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Flew through it. Stunning copy. But yeah. Now, so the last book that is narrowly missed. It's literally between this and the next book in my top 10 of what was my favourite. So this is narrowly missed the top 10, and that is The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. I read this in December, and I think it's probably my December book that only narrowly missed it. But had this been, it is so close between this is pretty much joint, I don't know if I can count it as joint 10th place with the next book, but it is just brilliant. I've read Pet by Akwaeke Emezi, and I thoroughly loved that, and this was just amazing. Very, very sad. It broke me into like a million flipping pieces. It was one of Charlie's favourite books. My sister Charlie reads. They burnt down the market on the day that Vivek Oji died. One afternoon, a mother opens the door to find the length of her son's body stretched out on the veranda, swaddled in a quaky material. His head on the welcome mat. The death of Vivek Oji transports us back to the day of Vivek's birth, the day his grandmother Amuna died. And this is the story of an overprotective mother and a distant father, a heart-wrenching tale of one family's struggle to understand their child. Very, very good. LGBTQI book, but done absolutely fantastically. Thoroughly loved it. Recommend this to everybody. It really was so, so good. Now to my 10th/joint 10th with that one. The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. This is another book that I'm going to be carrying on the series, because I've got the second book to read that I'm going to be reading this year in 2024. This is The Wolf Den by Elodie Harper. I thoroughly loved it. Again, I think it was one of the ones I read at the start of the year. I've got The House with the Golden Door. I will be reading it, and then the next one is coming out this year in paperback. So I'm trying to put off reading The House with the Golden Door until I can get the paperback, so it won't be having to wait too long afterwards. So I might be kind of saving The House of the Golden Door till probably like April time. I think April's when I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'll read that in April. There you go. I'll go and put that on my April list, because I've got a new booktube planner. So this is about Amara, who is once the beloved daughter until her father's death plunged the family into penury. Now she's owned by a man she despises and lives as a slave in Pompeii's infamous brothel. So it's set in Pompeii. It's slightly, I would say it's slightly fantasy, but it's more historical fiction, but set obviously in that sort of Pompeii time. And Amara's Spirit's Broken. It's a fantastic book. It's one that really has lived on in my memory, and one I thoroughly enjoyed. Now, turn over the page so I can remember exactly what order I'm in. The next one is a contemporary. You will find there's one more contemporary on this list. This is only in 9th place, but to get any contemporaries in the top 10 is hard, because for me, contemporaries tend to follow a lot of the same sort of lines. They tend to be 4 stars for me. To get a contemporary as a 5-star in itself is amazing. But the reason why this book is still in the top 10, this is The Book Lover's Retreat by Heidi Swain. I did also read That Festive Feeling by her, that I read in December, and that is very close to this book, but I could only pick one book by the author. And seeing as this is the standalone, and this has something else about it that I loved, and that was 3 Best Friends, A Dream Cottage, The Holiday of a Lifetime. And it's got book references in it. So the word book lover, Have Me Anyway. Classic novel Hopefuls is friends Emily, Rachel and Tori's favourite book. So when they get a chance to spend the whole summer at the cottage in Lakeside, where the film adaptation is located, they know it's going to be the holiday of a lifetime. For me, I would love to go to, say, like, obviously if I went to Yorkshire, it'd be Wuthering Heights is my favourite book. If I went to Manchester, we've got like some of the books out there. So those kind of places, I would love to go to either of those places. I'd love to go to like Manchester, to some of Elizabeth Gaskell's favourite areas. I would love to go to where Heidi Swain writes her books over in Norfolk. There are so many places that are connected to books that I would love to go and visit. So that was probably what held my heart. Like for me, Wuthering Heights is the one. If I had to pick any location for any book, it would be, I would dream of going up to the moors, seeing Haworth, seeing that area. But yeah, anyway. But this is the contemporary version of that. It's got romances, it's got books on it. It's not a typical romance, it's friendships. It is Heidi Swain's amazing writing. It had everything in it I loved, and I cannot wait for her next standalone book that's coming out in March, April. So I just can't wait. But yeah, she's an amazing author. She will always go down as that. But her book definitely reached that place of number 9. Now, like I said, a lot of these next books in this, they're not in, although I put them in order, it was very tight. It was very, very close between a lot of them. And I just found it so hard. So in at number 8 is In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. This won the Waterstones Award. It's won so many awards. And it is fantastic. I was luckily gifted this book. And it was one that I know Charlie from Charlie Book Reads is probably going to say is one of her favourites. And it is incredible. The reason why it's probably not slightly higher in the list is because there are bits where obviously it's listing the people that died, the people that were injured and things like that. So that sort of element of it. So sort of these pages where I didn't like the Rolls of Honour from the Princeton, the university where the people are set. So this is set in World War One. So these bits, the list of people that were killed in actions, yes, they are real and they happened, but I sort of skimmed over that because unless I looked the names that I'd recognised of people, that characters that have been mentioned, I skimmed over that. So that was why, even though it's a brilliant, brilliant book, 5 stars, it's in my top bit, it didn't go higher because there was that little bit where I had to sort of skip over a little bit. But there is the romance. There is a great World War One romance as well as the hard-hitting historical fiction bits. There are bits that are bloody and gory. There are bits that are very, very hard-hitting. It's about the First World War, and it's Henry Gaunt and Sidney Elwood and their classmates who went to an idyllic boarding school in the English countryside, and they all get drawn into war. Not many people did survive, and that is very true of what happened in World War One. So many people lied about their age, so many boys lied about their age and got killed, and so many families were distraught. So many people got killed in that war. So this is very, very hard-hitting, but very, very well written. And it deserves every award that it's got. I found certain bits very, very emotional. But it is all, I think the top 3 books are my ones that are definite top 3. Like 101%. No, if I'm being honest, my top 5 are very, very set. They are very set. Like they deserve the places. But other than that, they are very close. The next one is the one that it's a very fun one to get number 7, and that is Cat Lady by Donna Porter. I was gifted this my birthday by Gemma from Gemma Books, and right, obviously, crazy cat over there. I am a crazy cat lady. My cat is my world. Like, obviously, other than my kids, I literally count Sweet as my baby. She really is. And if anything, when her sister died, we obviously lost one of our cats in COVID. Over COVID time. That was very hard. She died very quickly. And I remember the pain of losing her. So the lead character in this pretends that her cat has died at the start of this to go to the cat support group. And she goes for various reasons. She's not a mum, but she's a stepmom. And there are so many different elements in this that I think are done really well. And the lead character is called Mia. Obviously, I've got my daughter Mia upstairs. It's safer for Mia to play the part that people expect. She's a good wife to her husband Tristan, doting stepmother. She slips on her suit for work each day like a new skin, but beneath the surface there's another woman just clawing to come out. When a shocking event shatters a conventional life she's been so careful to build, Mia is faced with a choice. Does she live in a society that's all too quick to judge, or does she live for herself? This book's stunning, by the way. I love Gemma for getting me that. For me, I think what I loved about this book, obviously apart from the cat references, I'll talk about that, is the fact that I think so many of us put on the skin. I know before I joined BookTube, and certainly before a couple of years ago, I think for me, the last year or so, I finally found myself. I've got the balance between reading and living again. But I spent so long being what I thought people wanted me to be, put the skin on, put the big, be the mum, be the conventional mum, do everything that everyone thought I should be, and I wasn't being myself. And obviously that lady over there, my little cat, she loves me for who I am, so she sits on my lap. She's dedicated to the real me, and I learnt that it's okay to be the real me. And I think how many of us women, especially in this day and age, feel that we have to be everything for everyone, and that's why that book resonated so much. And I thoroughly loved it. There were saucy bits, there were bits I laughed at, the bits I cried at. It was flipping amazing, and I just absolutely loved it. And I think you can hear me talk about it, and you can hear that when I actually remember it, I love it even more, which is possibly a sign it should be higher up my list, I don't know. But it was really good. Thoroughly loved it. So in at number 6, and this is the one that's very, very high up, and this is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I've already read this with someone else this year. I got told that if you love Circe, you wouldn't love this. I love Circe, but I love this, and I can't wait to reread Circe this month. This is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and it is based on a real event. So Greece is in the age of heroes. Awkward young prince Patroclus has been exiled of the court of King Pelus. I can't say the bloody names. Despite the differences, Perseus' golden boy Achilles befriends the shamed prince, and they grow into young men, and there's a romance, and Achilles' mother is the sea goddess Thetis. And word becomes that Helena of Sparta has been kidnapped, and Achilles must go to war in distant Troy and fulfill his destiny. And torn between love and fear for his friend Patroclus goes with him. This is a great Greek mystery. It really got me loving this again, this sort of era again. I thoroughly loved it. I cried, I laughed, I thought it was absolutely incredible. I really loved this, and I would just recommend it to everyone. I think this is better than Circe, although you'll hear me see what I think of Circe in one of my wrap-ups this month. But yeah, thoroughly loved it. See, that one's going. I'm trying to remember where on the shelves I got this. So, in at number 5 is a book by one of my a good friend of mine, really good friend of mine, and I'm not putting this as one of my favourites because it's Charles Heathcote's book. Royally Doris I love Charlie's poetry book. That was brilliant. I love poetry, but poetry's not my jam as much. But this is my jam. Royally Doris is a book that I need to reread actually this year. Might be one of my rereads this year because I loved it. I loved it so flipping much. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it destroyed me at points. Literally, freaking Charlie has this ability, and it's not just because he's my friend, but he has this ability to write books that literally can destroy me within 1 minute, and then 2 seconds later I'll be laughing my head off. That is the sign of a great author, and I'm not just saying that because he's my friend, I keep saying that, but it is. Royally Doris is the last book in the Doris series, and it is by far my favourite. I thought I loved Our Doris the first in the series. I loved the second and third, but this was just everything. I was lucky that I was one of his beta readers, and I loved it. And then he edited it a little bit, and he put a thank you at the back of it, which I know is soppy, and I know I shouldn't be like, oh yeah, you know. He thanked me for mine and Charlie's invaluable advice and support. I'll always support Charlie. I recommend this book to everyone. Please pick up this book, support this author, support my friend. Just The Dog's Bollocks. It's a freaking amazing book. You just gotta love it. You'll laugh, you cry, northern humour, friendships, older characters, everything you've got. But you've got to read the whole series. So just buy the whole series. It's not expensive. Just go and buy his series and support my best friend. So yeah, I'm guessing you probably would have known that would have been on my list anyway, because I would have linked his channel. But hey ho. Now in at number 4, House in Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. I had heard so much about this book, and I loved it. I've actually got, apparently, this is how important it was for me. There are quotes in this that I've saved. Here we go. Let's see if I can find the quote. Let's see. Well, I know I put quotes down here, but I need to actually start underlining the quotes. See if I can see it. But this book was everything I wanted. It's like I think it's fantasy kind of thing. It's just so good. I like this. Oh, here we go. And this is talking about one of our characters, and it sort of says, he sees the good in people, he sees the bad, he comes across all kinds of people in his short life, and he can see things that others cannot. And that was about one of the characters. I can't tell you who because it's a spoiler. And here we go. And the next bit is towards the end. And let's see. Let's see if I can do this. See if I can find the quote in there. This book, again, it just literally absolutely killed me. This book was so good, so adventurous, so funny. Apparently there's got a sequel to it coming out and everything else. Why the bloody hell? Why the bloody hell can I not thingy? I can't find the quote, but this is just, I just thought this was flipping amazing. This book is really about everything, and it just literally gave me all the flipping feels. I'm going to be reading the sequel. It's about, like, he expected nothing, but they gave him everything. Linus Baker leads a quiet life. He's 40 and is in charge, works for the department in charge of magical youth. And he spent years monitoring the orphanage, and then he gets sent to a random orphanage which has 6 dangerous children reside, including the Antichrist. And it's just brilliant. Linus grows, the children are different, they grow on him. This just gave me all the feels. It was just an absolutely 101% incredible book, and it's one I thoroughly recommend to everyone who likes fantasy. I'm reading Under the Whispering Door soon this year. It's brilliant, this one. I hope the Under the Whispering Door I like as much. That's that one. In at number 3, like I said, all of these 3 are very much set in position because all of these 3 have reasons why I like, although 2 have very much in common. In at number 3 is Cornish Clouds and Silver Linings by Annie McNamara. Now, I love this author. I love this author for many reasons. For starters, she writes fantastic contemporary books. For second, she is a spoonie, so she has chronic pain and invisible disability. And she has great quotes. And she is an adversary for us and an invisible disability advocate. And this book is one of the few that has a character in this that has an invisible disability or chronic pain. I can't say exactly which one. But this represents it so well, and it was like I felt like I was seeing when I was reading it. And I want more books with characters with disability. I'm certainly looking into it, and I'm certainly looking at that as one of my goals for this year, which you'll hear about. I'm doing the next video will be a wrap up, but it's going to have got some goals for this year because I want to include it in that. I don't want to have too many goals. I'm not going to be, because it would be a ridiculously short video if I had my goals alone. But yeah, I want to read more books with good disability rep, and this does. Meteorologist Skye Matthews does not like surprises. Skye monitors the sky like she does the weather, carefully with a scientific eye. And then she gets sent to the Cornish harbour town of St Felix, and she feels completely at sea. Worse still, she has to work alongside TV weatherman Sonny Samuels, who barely knows his storms from his tsunamis. But it doesn't take long for Skye to become enchanted by the strange weather patterns over St Felix. And Sonny is convinced that it links to a local folklore. And it's romance, but it's done well. It's got disability rep, it's got images, it's got community. I thought this was a fantastic book, and I thoroughly loved it and recommend it to every single person. Next in number 2, and that is Queen Charlotte by Julia Lewis and Shona Rhimes. I've watched the TV series and I've read the book, and I was lucky. This was now a PR product. I got sent it for a read along, but flip me, this was just the best book I've ever been sent by a read along. Obviously, we know the Bridgerton series, and I have got 3 books. I've kind of got ones at the end, and I've read the first 4, so I need to get 5 and 6, I think. But this is set before that. It's set in Queen Charlotte when she was young, and when she gets sent to marry, obviously, King George. And we all know the story, I think. But for me, I think you should read the book before you see the TV series, because this just sets it up. And it's part historical fiction, part true. We know about Queen Charlotte, and Queen Charlotte, for her father, she gets sent over to England to marry the king, even though she doesn't know him. And we also know about the mad King George, and it has elements where it's past and future, and it broke me into about 1,000 pieces, but it was so good. It's set in 1761, so that's obviously when they first meet. And she's born a German princess. Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Schleiz was beautiful, headstrong, and fiercely independent. And then she gets sought to marry King George III, and we all know what happens in his madness, but it isn't inadvertent. I believe he got worse over the years, and it does talk about how they set up and how she fell in love, and it was just incredible. I loved it with every bit of my heart. If you like Bridgerton, if you like Regency romances, this is everything and more, and I love reading the Bridgerton books. Yes, they are cheesy. Yes, they are Yes, they are like historical fiction cheese, but I couldn't love them all, so I'm not even ashamed. The next one, obviously my favourite for the year, we all know this one, and that's The Secrets of Hartwood Hall by Katie Lumsden. It couldn't not be my favourite. And again, it's not because Katie wrote it. I like Katie as a person. She's a friend. She's an incredible person. She's an incredible author. I'm getting her second book when it comes out. But this had... it's the most beautiful... could go down as one of the most beautiful books I've ever owned. But it had everything. It had disability rep because our lead character is partially deaf. It is set in Victorian times. It's mystery. It's romance. It's got references to some of my favourite classics, from like Dickens to the Wuthering Heights to the Brontes. It's got links with all of that. It's got mystery. It's got spooky bits. It's got everything and more. It's got twists that I didn't expect. It is everything and more. I did not guess the ending. I thought the ending was perfect though. Katie smashed it with that book. It could not be a better book in my eyes, and to be honest, it's probably going to be one of my favourite books ever because it literally has everything I love. To have disability rep, to have references to the Brontes, to have set in Victorian times, to have romances that don't necessarily be atypical romances. I just thought it was just a dog spot. It's just amazing. It's literally, if you have to pick any of these books, obviously support our authors, but that was just incredible. I loved it. I am so blessed to have so many good books. And I read some incredible books last year. Yes, I read less last year, so obviously you'll see more about that in my wrap-up for the year. But I read less, but I read better. And I'm happier with the books that I've read, and I'm getting stricter on what I read. So, if you've got to the end of this video, you can do like a 10. Put any numbers or something like that. It's like top 10 kind of like things like that, number emoji. And, you know, because I just think it's top 10, it's favourites, that kind of thing. So, yeah, do like a 10 or like a number emoji. But let me know in the comments down below which books were your favourites of 2023. I'd love to hear. I'm loving watching all the people's favourites books because I think it's just fantastic. Although it's bloody dangerous for my Amazon wishlist. But we'll go from there. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, not subscribed yet, bring on my ding-a-ling, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.